Okay, in this video I'm going to go over the Cliff Notes version of how to make a bar graph using standard deviation as your error bars, how to make a standard curve and get the standard curve equation, and then how to do a t-test. If you want some more information on the context of all of these and a little bit slower version of this, go back to some of the other videos in class and some of the other class lessons. This is really just kind of that quick video reminder for how to do these things. Alright, so if you have some data where you have replicates and you need the average and standard deviation to calculate average, remember it's just equals average, and then I'm going to double click on the average and I'm going to select the data that I want the average for and hit return, and as long as all the data are in columns kind of next to each other, I can copy and paste that across and I'll get the average for everything. For standard deviation, same idea, standard deviation of sample, remember. And again, use my replicates. Do not include the average as a replicate. And then again, I can just copy and paste that across to get the rest of those values. Alright, so now I want to graph the average and have standard deviation as error bars. So I'm going to select my averages, and I'm going to insert, and I'm going to make a bar graph, and you can see the bar graph is set up right here. And then remember, I can get the x values by right-clicking. So all I did is right-click on this chart, hit select data, and that gives me to this screen where I can enter my x-axis labels, and as long as I select those in the same order that I selected the average values, you can see that that comes up there. And then the next thing I want to do is create my axis titles. I won't actually go ahead and title this, but remember again, chart elements, click on axis titles, and then I would just label this as my mLs of O2 used. I would label this as my energy source group, whatever. It can change the chart title, all those things in there. Alright, so now the error bars. So again, you also have an error bar option here. Do not use the default error bars. That is the incorrect error bars. So I need to go to error bars, and I need to get more options. And then that leaves this over here, error bar options. I'm going to click on this one that looks like a bar graph here, and I want to custom and specify my error bar values. And I want the calculated standard deviation, again selecting in the same order I've done everything else, and that should show up here. Get rid of the 1, you have to get rid of the 1 in the negative error values, and then select again, and now I have my error bars, my standard deviation as error bars, and you can see that they're all different sizes, they're all the appropriate sizes here, and the above and below for each one is the same size. So plus 2.3 minus 2.3, plus 1 minus 1. So that's the error bars there. Alright, so what if I have some data that's xy and I need to make a standard curve? For example, my x value is the concentration, and for each concentration it's directly related to the absorbance that I'm going to measure. So these are xy values. So I'm going to select both of those, and you have to remember that in order to get a standard curve for this, you have to select the scatter plot, right? And you can include a line with it, you don't have to, but it has to be the xy scatter plot in order to get the standard curve equation. And again, I can add my axis titles here. I'm going to forego that at this point, but you know how to do that now. Click on this and then just type in the axis titles. So how do you do the equation? How do you get the equation of the standard curve? Well, I'm just going to right-click on the line, and I'm going to find add trend line. When I add trend line, you see these options come up, and if it goes away, I need to just click on the dotted trend line that came up again, and you'll see trend line options come up. There's also this possibility here, so you can just go here and click more options. So trend line, more options, and this comes up. Again, looking at the bar graph, I want to make sure I have a linear equation. I need to see the equation on the chart and the r squared, and now I have my linear equation for this standard curve. And if I had an unknown where I have absorbance, remember absorbance is on the y-axis, so I would just put in my value of the unknown here for y, and I can solve for x, which is my unknown concentration. Alright, last of all, what if you want to get a p-value for your statistical analysis? So if I wanted the p-value between my water group and my glucose group over here, I'm just going to go equals t-test. I'm doing a paired t-test here. There's a lot of other statistical analyses that can give you p-values, but in this class we've been using a t-test for this. Since I'm comparing water, that's array 1, and I'm comparing it to glucose, so those replicates are array 2, comma between each one, and then finish with 2, comma 3. And then that gives you your p-value. Alright, so hopefully this is helpful, and good luck with all your graphing. Let us know if you have questions as always.